what is your all-time favorite look of Catherine, the Princess of Wales, for Trooping the Colour? It is one of the greatest times in the royal calendar, which is trooping, where the British royal family all comes out onto the balcony in their finest to wave to the crowds, watch the fly past, and what has become one of the most iconic things that the British royal family does. And Catherine, of course, is definitely the fashion star of trooping over the last about 2 decades. Now we have really enjoyed her fashion sense. There have definitely been many, many hits. Some I would argue are a bit of misses. So I have decided to rank my personal favorites from the worst to the best in my very humble opinion about Catherine's greatest looks. So, guys, hang around. Let's go through this together. As a reminder, this is all in good fun, but I want to remind you, if you haven't subscribed to Royal Fashion News, this is the channel for all those who have a passion for royal fashion, and I will be covering trooping this year. I'm in London currently right now, about to go to bed and get up early tomorrow to catch all the excitement of trooping, and I can't wait to share it with you. So if you guys want to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, I would love to have you back. But before the festivities tomorrow, it is late night here in London. Let's go ahead and take a gander through Catherine's years on the balcony for trooping from 2011 to 2024. And at the end, let me know what you think of my list. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? I would love to hear your thoughts. So without further ado, let's get into the list. All right, so first look on the list, and this is my lowest ranked look, is Catherine's 2015 Catherine Walker coat dress with a Lock & Co hat. For me, this look, it just seems like a bathrobe. It's just not a great look. This is shortly after she gave birth to Princess Charlotte, and I just thought it was a huge letdown. The pattern seemed dated, like everything about it seemed less than fashion forward, you could say. I mean, to be quite honest, it sort of borders on the matronly. I feel like we could see Catherine's mom wearing this, or even her wearing this 30 to 40 years down the line. It seems like for a woman who is decades older than Catherine was in this instance. I just felt like this was one of her worst looks for sure, and so it's definitely on the bottom of the list. So next we have Catherine's Erdem dress with a Jane Corbett hat. Now, I had to debate between this one and an Alexander McQueen one that comes next, but I decided to go with this one first because I kind of didn't like the hat and how it kind of sat over her face a bit. Much like the previous look from Catherine Walker, this felt a little bathrobe-ish. It felt like very much of an older woman rather than as young as Catherine is. This is from 2012, so this is only her second year on the balcony for Trooping the Colour. I just felt overall that it was a bit of a disappointing look. I don't like the muted colors. I think Catherine looks much better with brighter colors, and we'll get to that later. So overall, I just definitely do have to say this was a really disappointing look. All right, so next we have the 2014 Alexander McQueen two-piece outfit with a Jane Taylor hat. Now, I like this hat a little better, which is why this outfit crept above the previous one. But for me, again, I didn't like sort of I don't know if you'd call it brocade fabric here that was a little thicker and everything. Just not a huge fan of that. It just didn't feel very exciting or very interesting. It was definitely very boring. And so for me, I just had to put this towards the bottom of the list. And this was in 2014. Okay, so next we have Catherine's pink. So we're finally getting into color here. Catherine's pink Alexander McQueen coat dress with a Jane Corbett hat. This is when she was very pregnant with Prince George. And while this is a little bit better than some of the offerings that we've had, I still was never really a fan of this coat dress for me. And she wore this twice. Very much felt like a grown-up version of a little girl's dress. It just felt that way. I just didn't really like it. We saw this at a Westminster Abbey service, I think for Commonwealth Day. And so I don't like it. I'm not a fan. The hat is okay. It's a bit of a different style, but not, again, one of my favorite looks. But she does look very cute for being as pregnant as she is. All right, next we have her 2016 Alexander McQueen coat dress. This was the debut of Princess Charlotte on the balcony with Prince George. And she has this dress in at least a couple of different colors. I'm just not really a fan of the folded over topness of the dress. It feels sort of like a napkin. I don't really like that. I didn't really like it with the other one that she has in yellow at Harry and Meghan's wedding. It wasn't really my favorite. And so I have to say for this one too, not really a favorite of mine. It's not terrible, it's not the worst, but it's definitely not something that inspires at all. The hat is okay, but I'm not actually a huge fan of it either. I don't really feel like it suits Catherine very well. So definitely here on sort of the bottom part of the list. And the hat, if you're wondering, was by Philip Tracy. So in 2011, we have Catherine's first appearance on the balcony. And I only put this lower because I feel like we never got the full effect of this Alexander McQueen coat. And I have a feeling it's pretty cool looking, but we just don't have a full view of it. So I have a hard time putting it further to the top. She matched it with a Lock & Co hat that is black. So she was sort of to very much the side of the balcony, which I thought was really interesting. And I did like this one. I thought this one was pretty cool. It's just, it was hard to kind of get the full effect here. So I'm just putting this lower on the list just because I feel like I need to see more of it. And honestly, guys, I feel like color is so much better for the balcony. So for next on the list, and this is, I would argue, like the midpoint. After this one, everyone is like one of my favorites. So guys, when I was originally conceiving this list, I had these next two tied, but I do actually think I'm going to differentiate them because as I was looking through and gathering more pictures, I really thought about it and I have to go with number 6 being Catherine's 2022 look for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, which was a white Alexander McQueen coat dress with a Philip Tracy hat that we've also seen recently. And I have to say, I really like this look, but at the same time, it's not super exciting because that's sometimes the problem with the middle stuff. Like, you know what you dislike, you know what you like, but in the middle, it's just like, eh. And I feel like that's this look. It's eh. It's nice, it's great looking, but it's not super inspiring. And you'll notice the midpoint to the end, there's a lot of muted colors, and my favorite looks of Catherine tend to be bright and bold. So that is what we have for this particular one. Again, it is perfect for the occasion. Love A-line looks, but also doesn't inspire me much. So next one on the list, and again, I originally had these two tied, but as I was looking, I was like, I gotta put this one up above. And it's Catherine's amended Jenny Packham dress with a Philip Tracy hat again. And this was, of course, designed and added the bow because of Catherine's port for her chemo. I wondered that at the time, so it was really interesting to get that confirmation later. And I really like this look. It's very elegant. It's very simple. And I really like what Catherine's doing now and this year in re-wearing a lot of things because one of the things Catherine needs to avoid doing is even though, yes, she had a very good reason why she wasn't working last year, she doesn't want to seem like she was spending her entire time in treatment shopping. And I mean, it can even be online shopping. But either way, she didn't want to seem like she was doing that. So she took a dress that she had previously, gave it a little bit of flair. And I feel like that flair was a really, really awesome. I loved it. One of my favorites. So I do have to give this one a big thumbs up. But now that we are moving on into the rest of the pieces, I do have to say, what I found is that my favorites are when Catherine grows bright and bold. Everything else has been muted. And I was actually surprised how muted most of her looks are throughout the years. But when she steps up the color game, much like the Queen, I feel like it really makes Catherine shine. So let's get into the first of what I would call my top tier looks. The final 4 are my favorite looks over the years. For number 4 on the list here, in 2017, we have Catherine's pink Alexander McQueen dress with a Jane Taylor hat. So I just really love this bright pink. I think it's beautiful. And I think Catherine looks really, really spectacular in it. And I really love the design of this dress. She wore the design in a darker pink to Princess Eugenie's wedding, and I always really liked that dress as well, although I think I prefer it in the burgundy, but I think it works really well here on the balcony, and I think she looks absolutely amazing and fantastic. So one of my favorite all-time looks. I just love the brightness of it. I like the hat. I think it's a really, really good combo. And so next we have Catherine's 2023 Andrew Gin coat dress with a Philip Tracy hat. Now, this was a huge departure for Catherine. So we have this bright green with these very huge embellished buttons and very wide brim hat. This was a huge change for Catherine. Probably, I think one of the biggest aberrations out of this list is definitely this look. And I think it looked amazing. It wasn't my absolute favorite, but I think it was a standout. It really drew attention to her in a positive way. It was kind of like she was almost saying, I am the Princess of Wales now. And again, not in a bad way, but I think highlighting her new position. She's also the colonel of the Irish Guards. So it might have reflected that as well, though I can't remember if she's gotten that official role yet or not. I think that was there at the time. So I really love this look. And I think it's one of my favorites. She has a Philip Tracy hat, in case you were wondering. The wide brim hat, I'm not always a fan of on Catherine, but I don't mind it as much here. I think when it's black, it just kind of, I think, is not super flattering on her and it kind of weighs her down. But I think the brightness of the color of the hat really does flatter in this instance. All right. Now getting to the final two. And the first one is Catherine's 2018 light blue Alexander McQueen dress with a Juliet Botterill hat. I love this look. This was also when Charlotte fell off the little like thing they had so that the kids could sit higher, and she started fussing a bit and crying, and Catherine picked her up and comforted her, and we had this instance where Catherine's like trying to balance a hat and balance Princess Charlotte. So I really do think this look is one of my favorites. I think it's so sweet. This was not too long after she gave birth to Prince Louis. I have to say it's one of my favorites. If I had a choice, I would always say yes, this one. I love the Kiki McGonagall jewelry here and everything, and the earrings I think are just fab. One of my favorites. A gorgeous, amazing look. So definitely the second to best. But for me, the best look of Catherine on the balcony is her 2019 yellow Alexander McQueen dress with a Philip Tracy hat. I love the structure of this dress. This was also Prince Louis's debut on the balcony. I just think it just felt very happy to me. And it felt like them as a little family. They were very happy. They were very settled. And this was like the final normal Tripping the Color before the lockdowns and everything. And so it was just amazing to see them so cohesive and so together. And I think the bright yellow was a standout. It's not a color we see Catherine in too often, but I think in this instance, it was hugely flattering on her. Just love it. And I just felt the joy from them in this moment. And Prince Louis was, of course, so cute because although he started off in mom's arms, he really wanted to be hanging out with his daddy. And so I just thought that was the absolute sweetest. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know, did they reflect your choices? And what choices do you think we will get tomorrow? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very, very soon. Bye.